Take a look at that retro front panel and that curvy shape. It's incredibly familiar. It could only be one thing, the Lunar Arriva. Except it isn't a Lunar Arriva. It's a Lunar Conquest EK. It's a special edition built exclusively for Highbridge here in Somerset. So it's a dealer special. Well, what does that mean? Probably means some new graphics and some new trim and a slightly heftier price tag. But actually it's quite a bit more than that. There's a lot going on under the skin of this particular special edition. Let's start at the front here. If we look inside this good sized gas locker at the front, you'll find there's a duo gas controller which will automatically switch between your two gas bottles when one runs out. That's quite a useful feature, and it's from the much higher Clubman range. And those alloy wheels that look like they've come straight off a Land Rover Discovery, well, they're from the Clubman too. That's quite a lot of posh kit to have on what is a fairly basic entry-level caravan. And I particularly like this detail. We've got our remote control here. We'll just pop our awning light on and off. I also like the fact that all the services are moved over to the off side of the van. A van this size is likely to have an awning on it, so it's really great that it hasn't got wires running through it or the need to empty your cassette from it. There are a few more bells and whistles to take a look at inside. Now, in case you were wondering what EK stands for, well, it means end kitchen, which is where I'm standing now. It's a real traditionalist favourite, and it's a pretty high spec end kitchen. Although, to reassure you, once you buy the van and it's been through a PDI check, it will have a glass lid for that dual fuel 4-burner hob, and indeed a door for that separate oven to go with the grill. You'll need that glass lid, however, because without it, there's not a huge amount in the way of food preparation space back here. What there is a really good sized stainless steel sink, ideal for doing the washing up, and underneath it, a domestic sized kitchen unit. It's fantastically spacious, and there's a little cutlery drawer in there as well. Overhead, you'll find 4 little cupboards for storing all of those kitchen essentials. And if you've run out of storage, well, there's this sideboard unit, which has a good sized cupboard above and a microwave perfectly sited at lower chest height, which is ideal. You shouldn't burn yourself taking stuff out of it and spilling. Underneath that, there's a sideboard with all the plugs you need to put your TV. It's probably a bit too low to be used as food prep space, so that, chances are, is what it's going to be used for. And there's a drawer and a cupboard underneath it. Now, that just leaves the fridge, which is over here on the off side of the van, underneath the wardrobe, which in this EK Special Edition gets an automatic light when you open the door. That huge roof light overhead really does make it feel wonderfully bright inside here. Now, the Arriva and the Quasar are the first rung on the lunar ladder. However, for the Conquest EK, the upholstery comes from the top spec Clubman and Delta range. It's called Sorona, and it's this rather nice pale finish with meadow sky cushions and curtains, which again are very pleasant. And they really do make it feel properly luxurious in this little van. It is, however, quite a little van. Including the side marker lights, it's only 6'7" from side to side, which is pretty narrow. Great news when you're towing, but it does make for a relatively compact interior space. That said, it's only a van for 2 people, and it's plenty roomy enough for 2 to live in and to have friends over for drinks or evening meals. When you do, this table pulls out from the centre chest, and the freestanding table lines up alongside it, so there's plenty of room for maybe 6 people to dine in comfort in here. There's also masses of storage space in here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 overhead lockers and a completely clear space underneath the near side bunk, which can be accessed from the inside using the access flaps. There's a flap on this side as well, but the space underneath is slightly more restricted because we've got the consumer unit and the 4 kilowatt Truma combi boiler under here. Now, this light you can see flashing down here, that's for the remote controlled alarm system, which is another part of the EK Premium Pack. Just to the side of it, you'll find another bank of sockets. However, I've been through this whole van and I can only find 2 230 volt sockets, plus of course the one for the microwave. So if you're the sort of person who likes to have a TV, DVD player, kettle, toaster and have them all running at once, you might find it a little bit restrictive. What isn't restrictive, however, is the number of lighting options in here. We've got 2-way spotlights in every corner. so however the beds are configured, you should have a perfect reading light. There are also LED strip lights, which really bring the place to life at night. You can't quite see them in the daylight, but you can maybe see it reflecting on my hand here. And of course, at night time, well, there's plenty of bed options. These two sofas each make a single bed measuring 6 foot 1 inches long, which is plenty big enough for most. And of course, if you really like each other, you can have a double bed. We pull the slats out from underneath the central chest, and it makes a 6 foot 1 by 6 foot double, which is a pretty good size, bearing in mind that this is a pretty small van. Lunar has packed an awful lot into the tiny corner washroom. There's a drying rail, a towel hook, a proper frosted window, and a shower on a riser with a little shelf for your soap. There's a moulded shower tray beneath and a moulded sink with a good sized bathroom cabinet above and a mirrored door. A pull around shower curtain protects the toilet from getting too wet when you're taking a shower. Now the Conquest EK will set you back around £16,200, and that's delivered here at the dealership. That sounds like a fair amount of money when you bear in mind you can buy an entry-level caravan for around 15 grand, and a much bigger one at that. But actually, when you take into account the amount of kit in this van and the sense of luxury, it really isn't that much at all, particularly when you bear in mind that a Lunar Arriva, on which it's based, is only about 500 quid cheaper. Now, I've just been through the spec list and I stopped counting when I got to about 1,000 quid's worth of extras included within that £500 premium. And just think, if you put this on your driveway, instead of having to store it, you might even save that in the first year's storage fees. So if you're a couple looking to downsize, but you don't want to skimp on luxury, this could just be the perfect van for you.